When it comes to calisthenics, there's always a new skill to learn. And while we all know the most iconic ones, there are some incredible skills flying under the radar. Today we're stepping away from the classics and diving into the 10 most underrated skills. Movements that will serve as a fun challenge, but also help you directly in mastering your own body weight. I ranked them from easiest to hardest, but the learning curve is more individual here, so simply try out the ones that appeal to you. Now let's get into it. Skill 1, the finger push-up. In the finger push-up, you support your weight only on your fingertips. A unique way to mainly target your fingers and forearms. And while it's a lot harder than it looks, it's not just a trick. The constant tension is actually excellent for building tendon strength, and stronger fingers will help you in other movements like when counterbalancing a handstand. To learn it, you can either start with knee-assisted repetitions, or you can prepare by doing these finger presses to build a baseline. And once that's comfortable, you can move onto your feet, starting with only one hand if needed. Now when it's time for the full push-up, try to really focus on full control. Enough to press evenly through the fingers and avoid overly stressing one single joint. Finger strength is often overlooked in calisthenics, and this is a fun way to train it. Just be careful that tendons heal quite a bit slower than muscles do, so it's not something you want to do every single workout. Skill 2, the crane pose. The crane pose is a skill that requires both balance and strength. It builds on the frog stand, and you can view it as a more complex version that now focuses on straight arms. You'll improve your balance, get a feel for straight arm strength, and open up for new and cool skill transitions. To learn it, you start with what's known as an advanced frog stand. Here you place your knees just below the elbows and lean forward with extended arms until your feet lift off the floor. Once you can hold this position comfortably, you move on to the crane pose itself. Here the principles stay the same, but now you place your knees even higher up the arm. Aim for the back of the triceps just below the armpit before leaning forward and finding your balance. Now as you get stronger, you can start going directly from the advanced frog stand into the crane pose, and eventually all the way into a handstand. Straight arm presses are a big part of calisthenics, and this is a way to get some experience with it without making it too heavy. Skill 3, the pullover. The pullover is a skill that deserves a lot more attention. I even put it in my list for your first 10 calisthenic skills to learn. It's a test of strength, coordination and timing, and often the first skill where you're not pulling to the bar but actively trying to get above it. Essentially, it's a combination of two exercises. 1, a body row, and 2, a toe to bar leg raise. To perform it, you first raise your legs all the way up and then move directly into a body row at the top. From there, you move your legs around the bar to land on your hips and finish the rotation. This is difficult in the beginning, and it can also feel quite intimidating. So to build up your confidence, a good starting point is doing it from a low pull-up bar. This allows you to jump into it and get a feel for the rotation before the full skill. Mastering the pullover is a big milestone for your progress, and it's an indicator that you're progressing into more advanced body control. Skill 4, the ring push-up. Ring push-ups are performed on gymnastics rings instead of the floor. A fun challenge that I've spent some time trying to master myself. It is a bit of a party trick compared to the other skills, but I think it's worth trying nonetheless. The reason being that every small imbalance has to be constantly corrected. You'll feel every stabilizing muscle working, especially in your shoulders and core. But for this, I do recommend starting very gradually so you don't end up injuring yourself. First on the knees, getting a feel for the adjustments before trying the full push-up. And here it can help to really grab the rings tightly and even apply a slight rotational force. As you get stronger with this skill, you can always take it one step further, doing it clapping with a single ring or even with one arm. It really lets you be creative. Just be careful since it can be quite hard on your wrists if you fall, so if you have the option, do it with wrist wraps. And speaking of equipment, God Nation is right now doing their summer sale, so head over there if you're looking to upgrade your workout. Skill 5, the typewriter pull-up. The typewriter pull-up is a clean display of pulling strength. By shifting your body from side to side while trying to keep your chin over the bar, it increases the load on one arm at a time. To perform it, the first step is an archer pull-up. This involves going for a wide grip and then pulling towards one side while keeping the other arm straight. And don't worry, if it isn't fully straight in the beginning, you can gradually improve as you get stronger. Next, from this top position, you start shifting your weight sideways until the opposite arm is now extended. And once you've moved from one side and back again, you've completed a typewriter pull-up. For your next attempt, you simply reverse the movement to balance it out. Typewriter pull-ups are great for building a stronger top position, which is where a lot of people struggle. And it's also a way to start moving closer towards that one arm pull-up. Skill 6, the one arm toe to bar. The one arm toe to bar is a skill for grip strength and extreme core stability. It requires you to hang from a single arm, keep your body under full control, and then raise your legs all the way up. To learn it, the first step is simply learning to hold a good one arm hang. This can take some time, but it will build foundational grip strength that will help you in many other movements as well. When you can do that, the next step is actively tightening your core. If you don't, your body will start rotating sideways, and for this we want to keep it fixed and stable. From there, you can now lift your legs while leaning leaning slightly back at the same time. In the beginning, raise them as high as you can and gradually build more control from there. The goal is to eventually touch the bar with fully straight legs, which will mark the complete skill. Doing this with control is no easy feat, and it showcases high levels of both body awareness and strength. Skill 7, the slow muscle up. The slow muscle up removes all momentum. A true display of body control that's not nearly as popular as its explosive counterpart. But it's not necessarily harder to perform. It's a different kind of strength that relies heavily on knowing the right technique. To perform it, you first need to find a deep false grip. For this, you place your wrist on top of the bar and then wrap your fingers around. This will allow you to later make the transition without rotating at the wrist. However, for many, it's also tricky and uncomfortable to hold. So to learn it and build up some tolerance, you can start out with these assisted false grip pull-ups with a ball. From there, the next step is to enter the hang and start pulling. Here you want to aim for the lower chest to touch the bar, and then you actively want to press your weight forward. This will take some of the pressure off your arms, which you can use to continue leaning forward and finish the muscle up. Skill 8, the straight bar handstand. The straight bar handstand is a skill that demands total precision, and it's perfect if you're looking for a new balance skill after learning the regular handstand. Unlike the floor version, you can't really use your fingers to make constant balance corrections, and unlike parallettes, you don't have the ability to shift your weight forward and back through the handles. Instead, you're forced to balance with much smaller and more precise adjustments, which of course makes it more difficult. Because of this, I recommend starting on low parallettes where you can always exit safely. And while it may take some time to adapt, you can actually expect getting some good holds pretty quickly if you already have a solid handstand base. Now from here, you can always start gradually adding more height if you later want to do it on dip bars or even a pull-up bar. Once you unlock the straight bar handstand and go back to regular handstands, balance will never become an issue again. Skill 9, the ring one-arm chin-up. When it comes to one-arm pulling, the straight bar pull-up is the iconic variation and what most set out to learn. But the chin-up version on rings offers some different and helpful benefits. On a straight bar, your arm is forced into a fixed path, and under such load, this creates twisting forces in the elbow, making it very common to experience irritation. But here the equipment adapts to your body. You can freely rotate your wrist and start like a pull-up while ending in a locked chin-up. As for the technique, make sure to roll your opposite shoulder forward as you initiate the pull. This will collect your center of mass closer to the pulling arm for better leverage. Without it, your chest opens up and often makes your body rotate backwards into an awkward position. Since we're moving closer to the end of the list, this is obviously a difficult skill, but it's also a useful and more sustainable variation to put on your bucket list. Skill 10, the impossible dip. The impossible dip is probably the ultimate test of tricep strength. It involves starting from a regular dip position, leaning back to shift your weight onto the triceps, and then lowering yourself with control before pressing back up again. It's a unique and extremely difficult movement, as you can hear from the name. To learn it, the method I used was mainly through a feet assisted variation. For this, you start on a low dip bar and then take a step out in front. Then you lean back like you would in the full variation and try to imitate the same movement pattern. But I will say that even if you compensate with your feet, these are still very difficult and you already need a strong base to try them. In calisthenics, the triceps almost always plays a supporting role, whether to the chest in dips or to the shoulders like in handstand push-ups. The impossible dip is the exception and one of the most impressive displays of pure tricep strength. Now, if you're interested in my programs to train for skills, endurance or weighted calisthenics, I've put the link in the description. And I also quickly want to mention that if you're looking for some new calisthenics equipment, my sponsors at Gonation have some very high quality options. You can use my code Jacob10 for 10% off. I've put the link in the description. That was it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.